Yet again, Onyx has done something pretty spectacular. The Tab XC is here. Now, although they're not the first company to do 13.3-inch color, they are the first to do it in a few things. Number one, they're the first to do 300 ppi. Number two, let's just call it like it is, they're the first to put Google Play on it. You see, before this, two units came out, the Readmoo Pro 2C and the Fujitsu Quaderno A4 13.3. Outside of that, this is pretty much the best one from an on-paper perspective. We are going to get into all of it, we are going to get into price, we are going to get into specs, but first, just look at this thing. It's an absolute beast with stereo speakers, pogo pins for additional accessories, 4 microphones, USB-C, a color screen, and again, 150 ppi in color. Not only that, it's got a huge 5500 milliamp battery, which is insanity for a device that's basically going to do everything you want it to do. So with that, let's get into the BOOX Tab XC. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up, in that we're going to talk about the worst part of this device, the pen. And we'll explain everything right now. Why is this the worst part? I mean, the pen in and of itself looks fine. I mean, it's got a BOOX logo on it, it's sleek, it's nice to hold in your hands. But the problems go deeper than that. On previous Onyx units, you can use all of these and then some. This only represents about 5% of the choices of Wacom pens in the industry. I'm talking hundreds of pens from Japanese manufacturers, German manufacturers, Slovenian manufacturers, Australian manufacturers. Man, there's a lot of Wacom pens. But now all of that goes away because you're only able to use this. And why is that important? This is important because now you have proprietary tips that you can no longer spend $7 and get a pack of 20. You have to now charge this pen by snapping it to the side of the device. You can't use any other pen except this very pen, and it doesn't feel as good because it's not a gritty kind of graphite composite tip or rubbery like the Pilot brand of stuff or the Stadler. It's just very slippery, almost like an Apple pencil like this one. So not only is it more expensive, more inconvenient, and less functionality, and the fact that you can't buy or customize any other pen, the only way this benefits anybody is Onyx because they don't have to pay Wacom licensing. So I would say, all things considered, it only gets better from here because the pen honestly is the worst part about this whole unit. So with that, let's continue. The unit itself is built very well, so sitting on your tabletop like this, there's only one glaring issue, at least for me, is that the bezel around the side here is a little bit high, and that's fine because there's a lot of layers in this thing. There's the touch layer, there's the glass layer, there's the protective layers, there's the EPD, the electronic paper display, there's the digitizing layer, there's the top coat, there's the anti-glare, there's the color array filter. So in the stack of actual things that go into it, it's amazing that it's not higher, but it is still a little bit on the distance side between the actual screen and the side bezel. Not a big deal. If we look at this, this is the top drop down. We have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, EINK center. We'll touch on that in a second. Rotate, feedback, nav ball. The navigation ball you can turn off or on. It's a little ball that will appear on the screen at times. So if I turn that on, it's going to show up right here, and you can move that around and put it over here, and it's going to make a little rainbow of wherever you put it, and it's just going to be quick keys and stuff like that. It is kind of really nice. I like that. Kids mode, quick notes, free mark. Free mark is going to allow you to write over everything, so you can take notes on the top layer, and this is pulled out of a page of the book of bigme, which is global handwriting. So this allows you to utilize the note-taking engine, but write on the topmost priority layer of anything that you see on the screen. Aside from that, you have your volume control, you have your pen information, you have your glow light. Now with Kaleido, we will just say, as we say every single time, you have to have your glow light between 20 and 60% depending on the device, or it just looks really dark. And that's just the reality of Kaleido. You can't get away from it, so that's the way it is, period. You have a warm light as well, so you can get a little bit of an orange tinge there. You do have the settings, and we are not going to go over the settings. The reason being, there are there are more settings combinations than there are atoms in the universe. There are so many things. You click on Bluetooth, you get stuff. You click on kids mode, you get stuff. Desktop and screensaver, you get stuff. There's secondary, tertiary menus that just keep going and going and going and going. There's more settings that gives you more settings. They truly do give you a lot of customization, but there is the necessities like the power saving, the wallpaper, the screensaver, smart assistant, location information, password security, and the pen calibration mode. So don't worry too much about that. Your apps are going to be in the middle here, and you get multiple pages as you download more and more things, and you get some nice cards over here on the side. You can change whether you want the navigation bar or gesture support, but if you get into something where the navigation bar goes away, you can swipe up from the bottom, and that will reveal the navigation bar right here. The EINK Center we have to show you because this is the most important thing about Onyx devices. For example, if we open the browser is just going to be a web browser, and we'll just skip the map management stuff. So here we are. If we click this, it's going to have all of our speed modes down below. So if we click on more, we have system refresh, drag to refresh, current app, when scrolling page use, you have HD, you have animation time filter, you have regal mode, and this is going to change based off of what you're using, and we'll show you that when we get into video. There's going to be HD, there's going to be A2, there's going to be hyper speed mode, X fast, regular, regal. We'll get into all that, so don't worry, but there's a lot of stuff here. You can even go custom mode for the color and change the dark color enhancement, the vivid enhancement, the color brightness, and that's all going to play into how the color looks on the screen. Moving away from the UI, we have one important thing that really sets this aside from any other 13.3, Google Play. Google Play is the be-all, end-all of apps, and you're going to be glad you have it. The fact that you get millions of applications just puts this unit in a completely different league of its own. Regardless of what your opinions are on Google Play, whether you like it or not, the objective fact is that Google Play is the best. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no discussion. They have the most stuff out of any market, period, ever, period. They have games, countless games. They have tons of different games you can download. They have tons. You can't even explain how many applications they have. Everything from literally every reading application you've ever heard of, all the way to all the latest AI integrations, all the latest multimedia like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff, your social media. You even have books because Google Play has a huge assortment of books and manga and editorials and all sorts of content, and they're all going to be here, and it's all under one roof. Furthermore, they have another application called Google Play Books, and this is where you are going to get all of your actual books and manga and all of your content in your library. And if you sign into the same library you've used on every other device, you'll see here that everything we've ever downloaded, sampled, bought, everything, even a video game strategy guide from years ago, is all in here. And this leads us to, how does this overpowered behemoth act as an e-reader? You will never be buying this device to read a book. It does read a book, but that's not why you're buying it. Let's increase the font because this is such a huge screen. You can read on this, but it's just too much. And what I mean by that is it's too big and it's too heavy and it's too many specs and it's very expensive. You'd never read on this for that purpose, but It can, because, well, this can do everything. So if you swipe, you get that little bit page turn animation, and this where it brings into, swipe from the bottom and go to E-Ink Center. Now we get speed mode, Regal mode, HD. If we go to something like Regal, it's going to be a little bit slower, but it's going to look better, and it eliminates that page turn animation and just has this kind of quick dither. This looks the cleanest, but you still have to have that glow light on, or else it's just going to be terrible. And we'll show you that actually, because you know what? That's a good point. If you turn the glow light off, my goodness, that's dark. And it's like that on everything. Trust me, it's like that on a Kobo, it's like that on the Kindle Colorsoft. That's the way it goes. I must say, the touch responses on this device, all things considered, are pretty bad. Every time we touch anything, it just kind of takes a little bit longer to do things than other devices might. All things considered, it'll get there, but as we have seen huge advancements in the industry since as far back as 2022, this is on the less responsive side, but granted, that can be fixed with a firmware update. Now, there's a couple things going on with this. It is color, so it looks a little bit worse than other manufacturers that just use black and white. However, it does have 300 ppi, which means it's pretty clear, honestly. This is actually a very, very clean note-taking device that can also be utilized as a regular e-reader. Again, you're not going to be running to the doors and staying up all night for a launch party to say, I want to get my extremely expensive unit to read some books. But it does have all the ingredients to do so. It's fast when it needs to be. It has all the infrastructure of being able to change your experience and an unlimited source of books with the form of Google, which you can then download Rakuten Kobo, and you can download Amazon and get even more books from there. I gotta say, this is a little bit bigger than a traditional manga. In fact, it's much bigger, but color has never looked this good on this big a screen that is not running gallery or Spectra. Something that's usable to this degree has never been so attainable before. It's actually quite nice. I very much appreciate Onyx kind of taking the initiative to make 13.3 with color with such high specs behind it. Now, when you get into the actual manga, it ends up being black and white, but that's what manga is. It's black and white. So that just kind of can't be avoided. But when you get into it, this looks great, and I'm sorry for the spoilers on this random manga we downloaded, but it's something really cool that you get this bubble view. And what I've always found interesting about this bubble view is not only does it key out with a drop shadow the individual bubbles, but it doesn't look diluted. In fact, it almost looks like it has a separate rendered image ready for it. So if you can't read the little kanji and furigana on here, you can double tap and it boosts it up, and it's just so clear. I wonder if it works on that. Oh, it does. Look at that. It even isolates a rectangle around certain text that is not within the confines of a bubble. I really do like manga on Playbooks. I like Google Playbooks for manga. It's just so comfortable, and they have so much of it that I'm kind of glad that Onyx went with Google Play, although they all have Google Play. But you know what I mean. The current landscape of the 3 available 13.3s, only one of them has Google Play that gives you access to this type of content, and that is Onyx. Here comes the double-edged sword portion of this, and I'm not going to get too much into the pen, but what I'll say is the pen feels bad. It's not good by any stretch of the word. It's fairly responsive. That's not the problem. The problem is, again, is that you have to charge it if you're skipping through. It doesn't have Wacom. You can't use any other pens. These tips are proprietary, and it feels like you're just drawn on a piece of glass. There's no realism whatsoever to any stretch of the imagination. You also don't have any eraser on the back. It's just a piece of kind of aluminum, which I'm not sure why they did that, and they don't have a secondary button or even so much as an Apple Pencil kind of double tap thing. It honestly just doesn't really stand up to a lot of the responsiveness of Wacom EMR. And yes, as you see those connectivity problems, along with the fact that you have to charge the pen. If you snap it to the side, you should get a little charging icon there, and then the responsiveness will kind of come back. So there's just so many glaring issues with an active capacitive pen versus a passive EMR. So just keep that in mind. Now, the good part about Onyx is they have the best note-taking features, and that's you can't refute that. Look what they do. You have texture controls, line widths, a ton of colors, so many pens, tilt function, pepper function, and when I click on shapes, you guys are gonna fly back in your computer chairs. Look at this. Boom. I said boom. Look at all those shapes. That is insanity. Do you know how long it would take to make a three-dimensional cube with a dotted inconsistent line in green with a thick width on literally any other device? But it takes a second on an Onyx. Any other company can follow suit with the shapes and how absolutely extensive Onyx makes it. I just don't know why they don't. I could make a pyramid in light blue with a thick dotted line, and my graphing work is done for the day. I can put the blueprints away and I can get on to whatever else I'm going to do. It's that easy. It is insane. We can't go over everything. It's impossible to go over everything. If you guys want to see everything in a future video, you have to let us know because there's just too much. There's ereader style shaping, shape perfection that goes from squiggle lines to perfect lines once you lay over the AI conversions. There's handwriting to text, there's shape perfection, lasso recognition, there's additional pages, there's insert. You can insert dang near everything on this. Images, attachments, time codes, links to websites, hyperlinks. You can record. You even have a more section if that wasn't enough, and you have a stylus section that gives you even more things that have to do with the haptic feedback, etc. There's just simply too many things on here, but you know what? It's good. Because man, they have everything. Look at this. You got layers, you got margins, you have fill. You can do paint style paint buckets, and you got templates. And not only that, they give you a ton of them, and you can sideload in your own. It is insanity to think why other companies just don't simply emulate this. And they take a page out of the book of Fujitsu with the pen customization toggles at the top. And guess what? You can toggle a whole bunch of them to swap back and forth between them. So you can set yourself up with a red pencil and a highlighter and a green paintbrush all day long. It's just fantastic. I just wish they had Wacom. They have done a tremendous job at delivering this note-taking world within this device itself. There is an absolute world hidden within the note-taking section. It is so vast. It is so robust. It just puts every other note-taking repertoire of the palettes to shame. Based off of just how many things you have at your disposal, it is unparalleled. And fitting in line with basically every other manufacturer in the game, all you have to do is use AI and your workload has been cut by a third. Write me a story about a dog. And in 1 second, I have a story about a dog. So AI is one of those things that it's on everything now. Even Amazon to some degree uses it. Bigme uses it. All sorts of manufacturers across the globe, from HiRead to iReader, all have it integrated into their units. So whether you like it or not, or want to use it or not, it is there for your using. The last thing we're going to look up is something that we have to cover. And because this is a big boy, we got to go over PDF editing. Now, if you tap the center, it brings up all of your good stuff. Once we close that little palette right here, there's a lot you can do here, and we're not going to cover every single thing. We're just going to cover the most prominent ones. Now, we'll start with a little bit of this. You have navigation. You have comic mode, which puts it into different cells. Article mode, which goes left to right. Comic mode goes right to left. You have reflow. You have more, which brings up a lot more settings when it comes to columns, direction, crop, etc. You can say cancel if you just get a little bit overwhelmed by that. Now, what I want to show you is this thing right here, Smart Scribe. There's a lot of things here. Shape perfection, circle to annotate, underline to annotate, scribble to erase, etc. We're going to show you that in a second. You can also click the very top here, in which case you have your AI assistant, which is always going to be there for you. So you can just say, hey, help me out with this, do that. You say jump, I say jump. And then you can go to split view as well. Split view, you can do horizontally or vertically, and you can do current doc or another doc. So current doc can get a little bit silly depending on how you do it, because it's just going to be the same thing. But if you did need to duplicate it for certain reasons, you do have split screen to help you out. A lot of manufacturers do split screen. You can command both sides and kind of move things over to both sides. And if you write here, you can't immediately start writing on the other side. You have to activate it. And this is a little bit of a shortcoming that Onyx faces that other manufacturers like Fujitsu don't even face. So it is just a little bit of a downside. It's not a big thing, but it bears mentioning. Now for my favorite kind of refinement tools. I really like this. So we're just going to zoom in, and it doesn't matter what's on the screen. It's just for the sake of showing you guys the text. Now in HD mode, it is really slow, so just keep that in mind. Now, if you do a triangle, taking a page out of the book of iReader, they have shaping, and it should be able to, there you go, make a perfect triangle. If I make a whatever circle and I double tap the circle, it should make it a perfect circle. That's awesome. I love that. You have underline, which sometimes highlights it. There you go. It does take a second, but again, the touch response on this is a little bit not the greatest we've seen in the industry, but it is what it is. From there, you just get an unlimited amount of features. We could be here for days talking about it. Squiggle underline, dotted underlines, different colors. You have translation, you have web search, you have TTS, you have AI, you have links. There's just a lot of stuff here, and you get your anchor points so you can highlight a whole bunch of stuff. If you have a PDF and you want to delete something, you just scribble it like that and it'll black it out, which is really cool. It just gives you a lot of these kind of features that we found that they've basically pulled from everyone else. You know, they've got the global handwriting from bigme, the shaping from iReader, the scribble strikeout things from other manufacturers. It is really an ultimate culmination of a bunch of different kind of industry-wide features. You have auto page turn, you have TTS, you have preview, you can add pages, you can go into the style, you can change crops and zoom and play page display, you can scroll it, you can put things justified to the left. It is almost an unlimited amount of features and combinations of such, but those would be the most prominent ones, is how to mark something up, how to do a split view, and the kind of AI tooled refinements that kind of just really bring you through the whole thing. And again, that floating ball is always there to help you unless you turn it off. We said it before and we'll say it again, as we feel we're right back in the same place we were in 2023. Where can E-Ink go from here? It seems that companies like Onyx and bigme have been throwing everything at these readers, and everything seems to be sticking. These devices essentially have left nothing out. While some manufacturers are branching out into Gallery 3 and Spectra 6 for photo frame solutions and folding devices, Onyx just seems to be running in circles, removing things and then adding things back 2 years later as something new. However, despite the revolving door of device releases by the company, and innovation aside, this is one of the best units currently available for the dollar. It will do and can do anything. That it has color, the biggest screen, Google Play with the highest pixel density, definitely ticks all the right boxes. Thanks for watching.